Hello everyone. If this is your first time joining me, this is Ramzy Baroud with the Palestinian View. Today we are going to talk about the Palestinian Authority, its violence against the Palestinian people, and the very future of the PA. But before we start, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell below. Thank you. The arrest of two Palestinian activists, including the prominent figure Mus'ab Shtayi, by Palestinian Authority police last week was not the first time that the notorious preventive security police or services had arrested a Palestinian who is wanted by Israel. In fact, while doing research for my book, These Chains Will Be Broken, a link should be available below, I have interviewed many Palestinian prisoners who were first arrested, sometimes tortured, by the Palestinian Authority before they either handed out or re-arrested by the Israeli occupation army. So this is quite typical, but something has changed this time around. For years, Palestinian and international human rights groups have been criticizing the PA's violence against dissenting Palestinian voices, quite often and ironically within the same human rights reports that are critical of the Israeli military occupation of Palestine. The Hamas government in Gaza too has received a fair share of blame. Now, some Palestinians may have believed that at one point the PA existed to serve as a transition between their national liberation project and full independence and sovereignty on the ground. 30 years later, after the formation of the PA, such a notion has proved to be nothing more than wishful thinking. Not only has the PA failed to achieve the coveted Palestinian state, but it has morphed into a massively corrupt apparatus whose existence largely serves a small class of Palestinian politicians and business people. And sadly, in the case of Palestine, the two groups are often the same. PA corruption and subsequent violence aside, what continues to irk most Palestinians is that the authority, with time, became another manifestation of the Israeli occupation, curtailing Palestinian freedom of expression and carrying out arrests on behalf of the Israeli army. Scenes of riots in the city of Nablus following Shtayi's arrest were reminiscent of riots against Israeli occupation forces in the northern West Bank city or elsewhere in occupied Palestine. Unlike previous confrontations between Palestinians and the PA police, for example, following the killing of political dissident Nazar Banat, this time the violence was widespread and it involved protesters from all Palestinian political groups, including the ruling Fatah faction. Perhaps unaware of the massive collective psychological shift that has taken place in Palestine in recent years, the PA government was desperate to contain the violence. They eventually did, signing, believe it or not, a truce between the Palestinian security forces and clans and communities representing Palestinians in the city of Nablus. A very important question that we need to ask: why would the PA so quickly concede to pressure coming from the Palestinian street? Now, there are many ways to answer that question, but the most important point is this: the political mood in Palestine has shifted. Resentment of the PA has been brewing for years. One opinion poll after another has indicated the low regard that most Palestinians have for their leadership, for PA President Mahmoud Abbas, for his minions, and particularly for the security coordinations between the PA and Israel. But a very important point that must be stated is that the Unity Intifada of May 2021 emboldened many segments of Palestinian society throughout the occupied territories. For the first time in years, Palestinians now feel united around a single slogan and are no longer hostage to the geography of politics or factions. A new generation of young Palestinians has advanced the conversation beyond Abbas, the PA, and their endless and ineffectual political rhetoric. With this context in mind, we also need to pay attention to the fact that armed struggle in the West Bank has been growing so rapidly to the point that the Israeli Army Chief of Staff Aviv Koshavi has claimed this month that since March, about 1,500 Palestinians have been arrested in the West Bank and that hundreds of attacks against Israeli military occupation personnel have allegedly been thwarted. We don't need Aviv Koshavi to tell us this. There are evidence of an armed Palestinian intifada, especially in the areas of Jenin and Nablus regions. What is particularly interesting and alarming from the Israeli and PA point of view about the nature of the budding armed struggle phenomenon is that it is largely led by the military wing of the ruling Fatah party, Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades, in direct cooperation with Hamas and other Islamist, socialist, and national military wings. While the Israeli response to all of this can easily be gleaned from its ongoing legacy of violence, the PA's future course of action will likely determine its relationship with Israel and its Western supporters and benefactors on the one hand, and with the Palestinian people on the other. Which side will the PA choose? I would love to hear from you. If you have any comments or questions, please make sure that you share it with me in the comment section below. Thank you very much for supporting the Palestine Chronicle, for all of your solidarity, and for the lovely comments and feedback that we continue to receive from you. This was Ramzy Baroud with the Palestinian View.